Hello, my dear. Our cruiser, the Dominance, is parked over a small world. Can't really tell you the location. You know how that is. Colonial Army business. Either way, Colonial Administration has sent us here to scout out this world for possible colonization. Really sucks, I hate tropical worlds. Everyone always talks about, oh, the nice climate, the paradise world, the jungles. Sure, they failed to mention the alien beasts that could tear your face off. Not to mention any number of alien factions that are also fighting for these worlds. Rich in resources, sure, and death at every corner. But enough of that. Gotta go now. Prepare for our little excursion planet side. See you soon. Okay, so the Colonial Army has the initiative. I'm going to move my support infantry first. So we got a test for a move. That's 2 dice. 6 are over. Okay, yes, they successfully move. So they're going to move 6 inches. We're going to move 1 guy, and then the rest of them will move. Templar War Chassis now tests to move. It's a 5+. It fails. Now, it doesn't have a free move. Some units will have free moves. It can shoot for free without testing, but it cannot move, and now the turn goes to the enemy. For this first move, I'm going to roll a d3. So 3, so 1 through 2, 3 to 4, the command unit's going to activate. Let's see now. The walker's not hindered by rough terrain, but I'm going to move him around to a rough terrain. He is a fire support unit. And so he gets a free move. He doesn't have to test for move. He only tests for counter charges, which is a 6+. All right, so the command walker has moved forward. Nothing in line of sight yet. The light infantry moves for free without testing. So it's going to move 8 inches. It has a total move of 12. So we move 1 little guy here. That's 8 inches, and then another 4 inches forward, and then we're just gonna pile up the other little guys within cohesion distance. So let's move the rest of the squad. Okay, the Crax Empire has moved, and if we were keeping track of turns, technically this would be turn 3, since they took over turn 2. But basically, that's where our light infantry is positioned. We have the command walker coming in, and he is going to be in line of sight very soon to the infantry down here. And then we have a fire support walker team, and they're moving forward on this side. Okay, so those are the positions of the troops. Here is the human support team, and we have the Templar chassis, which could not move. Everybody else is pretty much in their deployment zone. All right, going back to the attackers, the humans. Let's see if they can keep a whole turn this time. The Templar war chassis tests again, and he has 12, so yes, he can move successfully. He only needed a 5+, so he moves a maximum distance of 4 inches. He is a heavy infantry, and so he moves 4 inches, so we're going to move him forward, hopefully get him into a shooting position. And the turn continues for the Colonial Army. The Colonial Rangers move into rough ground. They're not affected by it. It is also a soft cover. And now the next Colonial unit moves, which is the Commander, the last unit in the army. The Commander, who's an elite unit, he tests, he rolls a 10 and successfully moves. So he's going to be able to move out of deployment forward. The army has now successfully moved all of their troops forward, and now we're just trying to get into a good shooting position with all the units, as both armies are now in the process of meeting up. The Crackswalker team begins with movement. They don't have to roll for activation for their movement. They have a total max move of 4 inches, so the whole unit, including their little drones, are going to move forward. As I mentioned earlier, little drones are just there to fill in for the as troops. They have the capability to fire and all that good stuff. And the pools are impassable terrain, so the walkers move forward, and that is it for them. Moving on with the Cracks Empire. Now I think they're going to be in line of sight very soon. The Imperial turn has now ended, and we have line of sight for next turn. The light infantry has moved into as best cover as they can, keeping their lanes open for firing, and then the command walker is right next to them to give them a little bit of fire support. And then we have the walker team, the fire support team, lumbering forward to be in line of sight probably by next activation turn. All right, moving back to the Colonial Army. The Colonial Support Infantry has line of sight to the enemy, and they're about to fire. However, first we look at a friendly unit that is nearby. That friendly unit is within 12 inches, so he's going to forego his movement and act as a spotter for the fire support team. Now the fire support team is at full strength, so it's going to use 10 dice. Because of the Templar war chassis acting as a spotter, the team will now have a shoot value of 3+. The enemy does not have firefight, so it will not be shooting back. Okay, so this is 1 strength point damage. It's armor 2, so 1 strength point, 2 strength points, and this one is blocked by the armor. So a total of 5 hits out of 10. Having lost 2 strength points, the unit is down to 8 figures from 10 to 8. And now they roll a courage test -2, and they need 4+ on 2 dice. Okay, and they pass their courage, so they are good. They are not suppressed. They do not retreat. They're fine. Unfortunately, the commander has failed his move activation with a total of 4, and so now the enemy takes the initiative after this initial firefight. The support walkers move forward 6 inches. And let's see. They're trying to advance towards the enemy there, keeping in strict cohesion right on the side of the pool towards the fire support team that's here. So there is a little bit of a pincer movement going on here. The cracks light infantry perform a shoot test. They need 6s, getting a 9, and so they fire on the Templar war chassis. And the little aliens have 10 dice. They hit on 5+, and the Templar will be able to shoot back because he has firefights. So let's see. Okay. So, good number of hits. It's the first time it is being fired upon, so it can activate this reaction. 7+. Okay, it gets to shoot back, and now uses 10 dice. It's a 6+ when doing this reaction. 6+ shoot value. So let's see. Ooh, not great. So the cracks light infantry do 1 point of damage. It is the Templar is armor 3, so 1 point of damage. We discard the 2 extra hits. They bounce off the armor, and the Templar only does 1 point of damage. So that 1 point of damage does nothing. Bounces off the armor of the troops, and so he loses a point. Templar has courage 4. He deducts 1 because he lost 1 point of strength, but he also adds 1 because the commander's within 12 inches. So it is straight dice, 4+, 2 dice, and he passes with no problem. The Xenos light infantry roll 2 dice for courage, and let's see, their courage is 4+, but they are within 12 inches of the command walker, and they pass without a problem. Trax Empire has finished their turn with the support walkers coming around the edge of the table here. A little bit of a pincer movement. We have the command walker positioned himself in nice cover and good firing action on this support unit, so they better move. And then we have the Templar war chassis, which has taken a strength point of damage down to 4 by these little light infantry guys, and the commander who has not, he's been hesitating this battle, and now we have the Rangers who are stuck in that little forest over there. So yeah, the colonial army has better begin moving. All right, let's see what they do this turn. The fire support team moves away from the aim of the big guns on the walker, command walker, but unfortunately they do move into line of sight of the support walkers coming around the table edge. All right, now the Templar war chassis takes its turn to shoot. It is a free no test activation, so it fires 10 dice, needs 6s. Needs 6s, okay. A couple of hits there. 2 armor damage. 1 more little guy goes down. We're gonna take this guy. Okay, and there are 7 little troopers left in that unit, almost down to half strength. Colonial Army's turn has ended, and now the Rangers successfully tested a move activation, and now they're looks like they're conducting a flanking maneuver on those light Xenos troops, with the commander finally activating, getting his act together and coming to the edge of the building there for a very good flanking move in the next activation. Opposing side of the table, the Colonial Army has the fire support team. They do not have melee. They cannot attack. They can only shoot. And so they moved out of the way of the command walkers' big guns, but now they're in line of sight of the enemy support team, who's trying a flanking maneuver, but it may not work as good as they had hoped. And then we have the robotic war chassis here, who killed another light infantry troop. And that ends this activation. Moving on to the enemy activation. Let's see what they do next. So we're a little bit past the half point of the game. We're nearing the 12 on the 12-sided dice, which means I will roll to see if that's the last turn, full turn for the game, or whether I need to add a couple of extra turns in order to get to some kind of victory resolve. Now, any kills are going to count towards the victory now. We're getting to those crucial stages. Both armies have had some trouble meeting each other, engaging each other, moving through the terrain, and failing some of the rolls, and just the distance between the two armies has made it a little bit sluggish. But now things are getting heated as both armies are closing, and I do expect to see a melee action or two. And the light infantry xenos are actually very strong in melee. So we'll see what happens next. The xenos plan to attack the rangers, and so they have an attack value of 3+, an attack activation of 3+, rather. So, yep. They do it, no problem. So they're going to move their 12-inch maximum move to contact the rangers. That's the only time we can contact enemy models during an attack. Xenos have a 4+ attack value, so they're really good in close combat with a whopping, wow, oh man. The rangers use their defense of 5. All right, not as good. Okay, so the xenos do 2, 4, 6, 7 hits on the rangers. Rangers only do 2 hits on the xenos. Rangers have armor 2, so 1, 2, 3 damage. This one's ignored. And xenos have 2 armor, so rangers do 1 damage on the xenos. The rangers are now down to half their armor, their strength points of 5. So they're going to be using 5 dice in the next attack or defense. So now the rangers do a courage roll. Both sides are going to do a courage roll, but the rangers get -3. The commander is within 12 inches, so they'll get +1, so that's -2. And they're only using 1 courage dice, not 2, because they're down to half. So courage is a 4+. We need a 4+ and -2 to the roll. Oh, I don't know. 5 -2. Okay, so they retreat. So the remaining 2 rangers are dangerously close to the table edge, but they're going to retreat into cover, and they are suppressed. And that's because their roll was over a 0, not a negative number. Otherwise, that would be bad. So here they are suppressed now, doing the courage for the little aliens. The little aliens roll 2 dice. They're 1 model away from being half strength. So 2 dice -1 because of the casualty. The leader is not within 12 inches, so they won't get the +1. So -1, and they need a 4+. Okay, -1 is 5. They pass their courage with no problem. Okay, activation for both sides is over. The battle chassis has suffered 1 damage. It's gone down from 4 to 3 strength points. I am rounding down when considering halves. In that case, the command took no damage. This unit does have firefight. It reacted and shot back, but it did no damage to the command vehicle. Both units test their courage. They're both okay. This unit was going to fire on the support fire team here, but they rolled a 5, and in order to do a successful shoot check, they needed a 7+. So it's pretty high. So yeah, they failed, and now there is a turnover. They don't get to do anything. So that's it for these 2 activations, going back to the colonial army, and we're now at 9. So this game is almost over. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is take care of the suppression here. We have the rangers that are suppressed. So attempt to rally them, and if they fail, they will retreat again and lose an additional strength point. Now they are at half, so I'm going to use 1 die. It's a 4+. Oh, man, no way. Not even with the +1. God. Okay, so they retreat a further 4. And now if they fail again, they're pretty much going to be out of the table. Let's see. No, they'll need a couple of activations, so they may not retreat off the table, but they are suppressed again. They maintain their suppression marker. And one guy. There we go. All right, so one guy left on the Ranger team. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay, so the command unit has a free, no testing for their attack value. They are an elite unit, so they slam into the little aliens. They have the assault doctrine, so they put on their bayonets or whatever melee weapons the drones have and attack the little alien unit. The commander and his elite unit attack with 10 dice, and they hit on 3s. So yes, a number of good hits. Now the enemy Craxian Empire is going to defend with 10 dice still, but they defend with 6s. All right, let's see. Okay, so armor 2 for the Craxian xenos. So this translates into 2, 4, 6. So that's 3 hits, and they are definitely now down to half strength. So they lose, let's see, it looks like 3 guys and 2 damage on the command unit, but they are armor 3, so they do not get any damage. Both units will test for courage. Let's remove the casualties here. And 1, 2, 3. -2 to their courage because the commander is nearby, so that gives them a +1. They are courage 3+. Holy cow. So -2, 4 -2 is 2. They retreat and are suppressed. Okay, these activations are now over for the colonial army. We still have to do the xenos. But basically, the combat chassis fired on the command walker, but it failed. Even with the 6s that it rolled, it was a wasted shot because the armor on that thing is very strong. It is armor 6 because it is a vehicle. So yeah, it didn't do damage to them. And then these guys suffered 2 strength points of damage from the fire support team, who rolled very, very well. And now they're down to 3 figures. And I marked them anyway just to remind me that that's the case. But the 2 little drones were blown to bits. All right, going now to the xenos to end this. And then this is going to be 10. I'm tracking every turn. Xenos have to rally first thing. They need a 4 and straight dice. Oh, they rolled a 2. So yeah, guess what? That's gonna be right out of the board. Okay, so they are out of the board. There we go. All right, as the game approaches its near end, the walker has moved and is now in a firing position against the Colonial Army Command. And then we have these guys look like they want a melee engagement, which they're better at, against the fire support team. So they're gonna have to get out of there. All right, Colonial Army turn. Rolling a courage test for the Ranger, and he fails. Oh, he fails. But he's out. He's out of the picture. Because he also takes 1 more damage since he is suppressed. So he's out of the picture. The full Ranger team is out. Wow, what a close game. Okay, so the activation for Colonial Army is over. The fire team has moved here away from the approaching walkers. And then we have the Templar, who also activated successfully and moved his 4 inches and is now covering their rear. Okay, so that's the position of all the units. Alien Command Walker makes a shoot test for 6 or over. He fails, and there is a turnover now. Oh man! All right, so we were at 12. Considering 12 turns to be actual 6 full turns. So I'm going to add those 6 full turns to a d6 roll, and if we get 12 in total, the game ends. And we rolled a 6. 6 plus 6 is 12, so the game ends right here. And now let's check victory points. So the way this works is 1 victory point per enemy unit worth 1 through 4. The Rangers are worth 1 point. So that is 1 victory point to the xenos. Now the xenos, on the other hand, are worth 7 points. And that's because I took out Wild Charge and added other abilities. So it came up to 7 points. So the Colonial Army gets 2 victory points for their destruction. In addition, there's a couple of little extra strength points that I was going to use to break a tie if there was a tie. So a very close game. The Colonial Army gets 2 victory, Xenos 1 victory, and so Colonial Army wins by 1. But again, it was a very close game. And if this game had continued, this guy here could have wiped out the Colonial Army command and then probably win the game. But a very good game indeed. That's it, folks. Xenos Rampant, my very first time playing. I really like this version of the Rampant series. The armies are very customizable. That's one thing I really like about this, is that you can customize your armies in many different ways. So there's a lot to explore there. In future games, we're going to look at other abilities and things. Maybe I'll have a video that talks about that because it's really cool. And you can play not just futuristic sci-fi or futuristic fantasy. You can probably play like a steam fantasy game. Maybe I'll take out my War Machine and Hordes models and play some kind of homebrew steam fantasy game with a narrative using these rules. A key aspect here is, of course, the 10 dice limit that you have for full strength units and 5 dice limit that you have for half strength units. So 10 and 5 are the 2 magic numbers. But then you also have the fact that some units get free activations, so they don't have to test for those activations. Now that they still count as actions, but they don't test for those activations. They're not free actions, they're free activations, if that makes any sense. So like some units will have like a free move. They don't have to test for move. They can just move, but that still counts as their action. But the fact that you don't have to roll for the activation saves you from a turnover possibility, because then you don't have to test for that activation, which means if you fail, you get a turnover. You don't get that with the free activation. If you want to help support that work and all the scratch building I do, check out Wargames Vault for Scratch Builder Monthly, and check out our Patreon. They get bonus videos, and we have 5 parsecs from home going on there and all that good stuff. So they also get a copy of the magazine. So thank you very much. Or you can simply just stay here, be a subscriber on the channel, and help us out that way, you know? So thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. More Xenos Rampant soon, and I'll have an update on Julie coming up very soon on the channel as well. So stay tuned for that, okay? Julie and Death Wizards, update coming up. Have a good one, folks.